Hello, 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 hello. All right, folks. I am Leon Kerber. I am the WSLR program director over on the radio side. We are excited you're here. We're excited that we're doing this. We're going to be going live on the radio and on YouTube in about 60 seconds. So be prepared. Here we go. Feel free to get raucous, break some chairs, move some things around. Feel free to move up, forward, closer if you want to as well. There's plenty of room here to get in up on it. We're going to have an introduction, and we're going to get into a great conversation. And I'm glad you're here. So here we go in about 45 seconds.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Elizabeth Dowd, and I am the curator of performance at the Ringling Museum and the historic Asolo Theater. And I'm so glad that you came out tonight for an artist talk with Kavita Shah. And this is the first in a series of 3 artist talks that we're doing in partnership with WSLR Fogartyville. And they've graciously agreed to host talks by 3 artists that are part of our Art of Performance series. So this is a way to get artists out in our community and also entice you to come up to the Hat and see the work that we're presenting live on stage. I see a couple repeat offenders of our program in the audience, so I hope we see you this weekend. I just want to gush a little bit about WSLR and Fogartyville. When I first came to Sarasota, I didn't know anybody here. And when I learned about this place and the radio station, I was like, oh, wait, those are my people. So I'm just like delighted to be here in their home. The artist I'm about to introduce to you is somebody who I've known for some years and was so moved by the work that Kavita does. It's very close to my heart and my own cultural research. She is an acclaimed performer and composer. She is a band leader and somebody who has traveled the world in deep research. And I'm going to read her bio before I hand off the reins to our a capable host. The acclaimed artist Kavita Shah incorporates themes of diaspora into her work. Kavita uses her background in ethnomusicology, linguistic fluency, yes, she speaks 9 languages, and her in-depth knowledge of various cultural traditions to place seemingly eclectic and diverse music elements in dialogue with one another. Kavita has toured with her band across the US, Australia, Belgium, Canada, France, and Spain on such stages as the Kennedy Center and the Blue Note, among many other prestigious and renowned venues, and has, as well as major music events such as Brisbane Jazz Festival, the Brick Jazz Festival, Melbourne Jazz Festival, Rochester Jazz Festival, and Winter Jazz Festival, just to name a few. Not only is she traveling with her band, but also as a solo artist and with other configurations that are quite unique. Kavita, she's not only an award-winning performer and composer, but she's also an accomplished ethnographic researcher and educator, having studied deeply music and cultural traditions of Brazil, West Africa, and India. And as an example, she recently produced an album of work entitled Cape Verdean Blues. And both the recording and live international tour really reflect and embody 7 years of immersion into Cape Verdean culture on the island of São Vicente along Cesario Évора's musical director, the virtuoso guitarist Bao. And I mention this in detail because I think it's a real example of her deep creative development practice and also just the depth of her commitment to her craft and to global expressions. I'm so excited we're able to be in conversation with her, learn a bit more about process, inspiration, and the impulses for her to make this work. We will be able to see Kavita live on stage with her quintet on Friday and Saturday night at the historic Asolo Theater. And know that if you want to get tickets, you can go to our website, ringling.org. And if you use the promo code WSLR Live 2026, you can get a 20% discount on tickets. So hot tip. Now I'm going to turn it over to Leon and Kavita.
Hello, there we are. How we have made it to the stage, and thank you, Kavita, for joining us today. This is very exciting for us to be able to talk to you, ask questions. I've got questions. I've got questions that have been presented to me from some of our people out in the audience, listeners. We're going to jump right into it.
Okay.
So you have described yourself and been described as not only a performer, composer, but a researcher. And I want to focus on researching. When did that way of working begin? And what does being a researcher mean in practice?
It's funny because as you were asking the question, the image popped in my head. It started at the age of 10 in an assignment I had to write a paper about the Pilgrims. And I wrote a 52-page paper.
What age was that?
10. But I remember there was this distinct moment of kind of saying, am I going too far with this? Am I, like, I know I'm on a path. I'm starting on a path that if I continue down this way could be dangerous. This is going to take a long time, or this is going to be, but it was this, I remember that feeling of, no, this is the right thing to do. So I think it's having deep questions and wanting to get to the bottom of that no matter what. At every cross point, instead of saying that's it, it's why, and then why did that happen, and why did that happen? So I think that's a kind of curiosity that I bring to everything that I do, and that's carried me through my life. And then specifically musical research, that began when I was in college. I was living in Salvador da Bahia, Brazil, and I had the fortune to work with a wonderful group called Malé de Ballet, which is a bloco afro. It's a carnival group in this city that is a predominantly black city. And it was where I really saw how music was not just an aesthetic currency, but really something that was a part of the fabric of this community. It was part of how people got together. It was part of how people related to each other. And it also gave a language to combat racism, social exclusion, and economic marginalization experienced by this population. And so there were a lot of questions for me that came with that couldn't be answered just by listening to the music and saying, well, that sounds nice. It was so much deeper than that and so much more embedded in that. And that curiosity that I brought, I guess, allowed me to go deep into figuring out all those spokes on the wheel. And in that whole process, realizing, well, I also, in those spokes, I want to make sure that part of my spoke is to be making the music and being on the stage, not just sitting behind it, writing about it. So that's where that kind of research began in my life, and that's a little bit about that
Sounds like
process.
the deep dive of the rabbit hole of why, and why for the why.
There was another paper too. It was "Who Really Discovered America?" ? The true story of Christopher Columbus. That was in that same year of the Pilgrims.
So how many projects grow out of long-term immersion rather than short visits? What I mean is, how do you think about responsible research, listening, and engagement when entering musical traditions or community?
That's a great question. I think obviously the kinds of projects where you can go very deep into one culture and one community are going to be longer term in nature. The album Cape Verdean Blues that I put out was a result of now 10 years of work. At the time, it was 7 years when we put it out. So those relationships take years to build, take years to understand and form. At the same time, I think connections can be made in a shorter time span. They're just going to be different in nature. It's not going to be that same kind of in-depth work. But that's part of the gift of being a musician. We have, as musicians, a universal language where we're able to drop into any culture, any country, and be able to directly speak to somebody else and connect to somebody else. I think when you bring even a greater level of empathy with that, you can get very far and kind of get to the heart of other people and other places quickly. So I would say it might look different in terms of the work that comes out of it. Part of it is, I think, in a lot of my music, there's just different influences from music I've listened to or different places I've been to and incorporated. And they all form part of that fabric, even if you don't hear one specific deep sort of tradition. There's one piece I wrote called Folk Songs of Naborea. It's a mini opera. And that was written after a trip that I took across Africa. I went to 7 countries in 3 months. And there's no way you can get very deep in that short a time. But what I did see moving quickly like that was, what do we have in common as humans? And that was part of what inspired the work, because the work's about music in a post-nuclear society. And the tenet is that if our whole world as we know it disappears, we would still, as humans have for millennia, use music to mark ritual, to mark who we are as people. And so that definitely inspired me, all those places that I went in that trip, even if I'm not necessarily referencing, I don't know, Ethiopian music or something. So it's both. It's both short-term and long-term.
It sounds like when you say the language of music, you're also describing the language of play. We play music, and so, if you were to look at a 3-year-old from this country and a 3-year-old from all these other countries and put them together and watch them, they're playing, and they can even without speaking, they can share that same language. So I feel like that's what kind of like what you're.
Yeah, that's really nice. It's nice because I'm a new mom, and so when you say that, I think about my child, and I think about how true that could be. Thank you. I think about how true that is, and also it's like it takes me back because I feel we forget to play a lot as we get older, myself included. I'm very hard on myself. I'm a perfectionist, and I love music, and it is play, and it is fun, and traveling and like being in those spaces, it allows me to keep that part of myself, that joy that we have as children. But when you say play, it's almost like, oh yeah, that's what I do. we have to remind ourselves.
So your work moves between modern jazz, folkloric traditions, and new music. How do you decide when structure and research should lead and when intuition and experimentation should take over?
I think they're also not mutually exclusive. My research in Cape Verde, for example, started completely from inspiration and spontaneity. I always loved the music of Cesaria Evora. I saw her perform back when I lived in Brazil when I was 20 years old. And I knew one day I wanted to go to this land where she was from. When I went there eventually, I had no plan. I didn't even know what island we were going to. I let my husband plan it. I didn't research anything ahead of time. And I got there and I turned my phone off because I just wanted to experience this place that meant so much to me. I loved the music from there. I wanted to have that visceral, physical experience. And within a week, I met some of my best friends that I have to this day, one of whom is a jazz bass player who's also an air traffic controller. He lands all of our planes on the island, and he speaks perfect English as well. And he actually knew my music. He knew my song Oju Oba with the Beninese African guitarist, jazz guitarist Lionel Lueke. And in that first week, I also happened to get introduced to Bao, who is the leading guitarist of the country in acoustic music. And I think almost if I had gone there with a script and said, this is what I'm going to do and this is what I'm going to research, you know, those things wouldn't have happened. But life sort of led me on that path. And it wasn't until 2 years later that I went back with a formal research grant and so on. So it's just to say that it's kind of just like in life, a mixture of being open to the moment, seeing what takes you somewhere, and allowing, maybe the thing to plan for is allowing for time for both. Allowing for time for play and for exploration, and allowing for time for, obviously, when you have deadlines or when you have a project to carry out. Of course, we need to get it done.
Moments of pressure and moments of no pressure.
Yeah. I'm thinking I should take that advice right now.
No pressure. 9 languages. 9 languages. So language obviously plays a role in both speaking and singing. How does working across multiple languages shape the rhythm or the phrasing or emotional nuance in your music?
Oh.
You can answer in any language.
It's a hard question. I think each language has its own sonorities, its own rhythm, its own internal sort of structures. And so it's like a palette. It's like I get a different level of colors and shades. During my maternity leave, I was up in the middle of the night breastfeeding and my husband as well. And so we decided we were just going to do like Duolingo for those, 20 minutes that we're up and then go back to sleep. So I did Latin. He did Portuguese. I've always wanted to learn Latin. Duolingo's like terrible for learning Latin, by the way. But it's just fun. It's like each one has its own structure and rhyme and rhythm and it's just a new way of seeing the world. So I would say it just gives me another range of palette. And then if there is something in that language that I want to interpret, there's a deeper understanding about it. But those are the languages I speak, but I've sung in more than 30 languages. So, it's like, for example, for me to learn Latin now, I speak 4 Romance languages, and then I grew up singing in Latin. I sang a lot of masses in Latin, for example. So there are a lot of words and structures that I have a memory for words, more than especially words and music together. That's like the best memory that I have. So, or the best skill that I have. So I remember troves of sort of Latin phrases or something. And so it's almost like it's there and you're just activating those little pieces. It's fun.
So let's talk about collaboration across cultural and geographical differences. How does collaboration change what becomes possible compared to working alone for you?
Oh, collaboration is everything. I hate being alone. I was alone for the last 3 days. It was miserable. I think music, especially for me, is about communication. It's about sharing, being here with you, and chatting. It's about sharing. So I think that's everything. It's just, for me, that's my relationship with music. It's a way of communicating to other people and a way of sharing with each other and communing. And, you know, another thing is, in terms of cross-cultural collaboration, I think similarly to different languages, it's just a way of opening yourself up to different perspectives, different ways of seeing the world. And, you know, I feel like I have to say, because Elizabeth was monumental in helping my project, Cape Verdean Blues, come to the U.S. We toured for 2 years in the U.S., and unfortunately now that's not the case for many artists and many people, especially from Africa. And, you know, it's really a shame, and it really was kind of embarrassing for me that I could so easily, as an American, go to the country of other people to share in their music in that way and have that free exchange. But that kind of exchange is not welcome the other way around. And that's something also that I have to consider when I interact with people, as someone who has the kind of tremendous privilege that I have, that I have the privilege to be here, but you may not have the privilege in the other way around.
That actually leads me into my next question. Thank you
All
very
right.
much. So, performing and presenting work in different cultural contexts shapes how music is received. How have the different audiences that you've performed at heard the same work in different ways?
So I think that I hope that there's a universality in my work that anybody can relate to, and that invites anybody in from any background. And I think these experiences, a lot of the experiences that bring me to music are universal. It's loss. I lost a lot of people in my family at a young age. It's living the experience of migration, in my case, not myself, but the child and the grandchild of immigrants, and what that means to have different cultures and identities across continents, across countries. But I think people that have even moved and left their family from one part of the U.S. to another can relate to that experience of defamiliarization and exile and loneliness and disconnection. So I think these kinds of themes that show up in my work, whether the work is Cape Verdean Blues or it's my original jazz project or it's, you know, opera, those themes hopefully are universal, that can hit people in different places no matter where they're from. So like when you asked that question, I was thinking, actually, I don't really see how things hit people differently. I actually see how things hit different people the same way across cultures and across countries. I will say it's been especially warming, though, to see how in Cape Verde the audience has received me and enjoyed hearing their music being given a value to by a foreigner. It's helped to sort of preserve that culture and maybe change some local perspectives about, oh, well, she's doing this, like, what is this? Because they're a place that's incredibly isolated, and they always look at everything external as better than. And so when someone comes and like shines a light on something that's right there, this is that's been told to me. You know, that's been a valuable part of my work, and I'm happy that it had that effect, you know. And of course, there's always going to be detractors too, or people that don't understand what I'm doing. But for me, as long as I have the blessings of the elders in a community I'm working with, whether that's in the jazz community, my mentor, the great Sheila Jordan, who is an NEA jazz master, she just passed away at the age of 96 in August. And, you know, one day I sat with her and I said, well, maybe I shouldn't be singing jazz because, like, who am I to do this? And part of me thought, well, the industry doesn't like me. I don't look like an American jazz, whatever that means. I don't feel accepted. I don't feel wanted. And I have all these interests. Like, why am I doing this? And she just said, well, if it's not you, like, who's going to do this after I'm gone? So, you know, feeling that I have that connection to the people that matter to me and that I have the blessings of those elders, that's all that matters to me. And that I try to have as much ethics as possible in my work and in how I go about my work. Then you can't really control the rest.
So this is a personal question. Would you mind giving us a small sample of what it is that you will be doing, performance-wise?
Like a short song?
Anything would be great.
Okay. This is the moment? Okay.
This is it.
All right. Well, we were thinking of what I could do without instruments. So I'm going to need all of you to help me. And we're going to do, on my last album, Cape Verdean Blues, the title track, Cape Verdean Blues. It's a song by the bebop pianist Horace Silver. And Horace Silver actually had origins in Cape Verde. His father was Cape Verdean, and he had never been there, but he wrote a lot of music, like Song for My Father and Cape Verdean Blues, inspired by this idea of home. And so I'm going to just do that a cappella, and I would love for you all to clap with me. All right?
All right.
Dum dum doo, dum dum doo doo, dum doo doo, dum dum doo doo, dum doo doo, dum dum doo doo, dum doo doo, dum doo le do le de do, ba ba da 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 do le do, ba ba da ba be do do do. Dum da, dum da, dum de, dum da, dum da, pa pa pi let it de do.
Thank you very much. My goodness. What a treat, folks. What a treat. How do you take care of your voice?
A lot of things. Teas, no dairy, sleep, rest, practice.
Do you have a memory of the first time you sung?
No, baby,
Forever.
baby. But I have a memory of, I was just telling this story today, of the first time I sort of declared myself on stage. I was 9, and I was visiting family in India, and we went on vacation to Goa, which was a former Portuguese-speaking colony. And this was my first time out of the Anglophone world. So everything was different. The architecture was different, and I remember the bugs. The bugs were very bright, and I had learned in my New York City public school. I had learned a Portuguese song, which is Samba de Orfeu, from the movie Black Orpheus. I'm sure some of you have seen that movie. It goes, quero viver, quero sambar, até sentir a essência da vida me faltar. Quero sambar, quero viver. Depois do samba também, meu amor, posso morrer. And I was on this boat with my family, and I went up to the guitar player. There was a band. And I said, I know a song in Portuguese. And I have a picture of that, of me singing with this band. And this is the first time I have that picture of sort of, I was already musical. I was already, taking classes and everything. But just that like, I want to be a part of this. I have some way to connect with you. Although he probably didn't speak Portuguese, but I'm in this Portuguese place. I know this song. I can sing this, and you're playing guitar, and like I want to get in there. So I have that memory. That's special to me.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
So let's talk about process for a moment. Very fast-moving world. How does slowness function in your creative process?
I struggle with it, like everybody now. It's something actually Elizabeth and I have talked about a lot, and I don't give enough credit for. I want things to happen fast. I have an idea for something. I want to execute it. But actually, if I look at the work I've done or the career I've done, it's happened through slowness and through time. And one thing that really helps me is being in nature. I was in residency here at the Hermitage Artist Retreat for 3 years. And I also like to spend time in the Hudson Valley, which is in upstate New York, a few hours outside of New York City, in the mountains. And there's nothing to do there, just in the middle of the woods. And again, I don't like being alone, but it's nice to, it sort of forces me to feel the emotions that I have, to process them, and then to kind of have this space. It's like the whole world is this fast place and this place full of inspiration, and I can go to different places, but then having this one place where everything is still, they can sort of live and come to the surface and then be part of that palette where you can create. So I think having some sort of retreat and being close to nature helped me with that, but it's a struggle.
Downtime outside. So when music travels between places and traditions, how do you decide what carries easily and what requires more care and time?
In terms of what?
In terms of what it is that you're doing, creating from one place to another as you're learning all these new places and languages and people, as you're changing and some things, you know, oh, this is going to be the easy part, and this one, oh,
Right.
this requires much more focus and attention and or research.
Usually, again, it's a little bit of spontaneity. So it's a little bit of, and following my heart. When I really love something and it feels really good, and you know it needs more time, and to some degree, like everything else, just convenience. You know, having the space and time. So that's why having grant support or research fellowships where I can go to a place and kind of just be there and be with the people and connect, that helps a lot. Because I remember one of the first times I did this, I was in Turkey, and I had a wonderful lesson with a balama master, and I sing one of those songs that he taught me actually in my duo project with the bassist Francois Moutin. But you know, the momentum to sort of keep up a connection with this person would be really hard because I'm not otherwise focused on that music. I'm not in a sort of deep conversation with it, and I would have to sort of take time out to Skype, or Skype doesn't exist anymore, right?
For some.
No, I think it's out.
No, it's done.
But to you know, to organize video lessons and so on. So I think a lot happens from actually physically being in an environment, and that's why it's so important to carve out those time periods, because there's sort of only so much you can do when life is busy, and that's why I kind of can only focus research-wise on sort of one place or one thing at a time. And for me, that's been Lusophone music. It just sort of takes precedence because it's kind of my thing.
What inspires you today?
Oh, my son.
And how old is he now?
11 months.
11 months.
Yeah. And motherhood, it's the happiest I've ever been in my life. It's so wonderful. And it keeps me away from, you know, all the crazy things happening in the world. So it's just you stay focused on the present and on seeing one person just change and evolve, and the impact you can have on that one person. It's amazing. So that inspires me. Music continues to inspire me. People inspire me, and nature.
So for someone encountering your work for the first time through conversation rather than performance, where's a good place to begin listening?
I think my album Visions, that's my very first album. It's kind of, it's almost like I set a blueprint for the rest of my work and the rest of my life, because you can sort of find a lot of different influences in there. It's a jazz project. There's some original music. There are instruments like the kora, the West African harp, and the tabla, which are Indian drums, in it. There's a string quartet in it. And you'll hear a lot of different kind of influences. But I think you'll just hear me. So that's a good place to start to hear everything that comes out of it. And a lot of the music that you'll be hearing this weekend at the Hat is from a new project that will be coming out this year called All Roads Lead to Home. And in a way, it's kind of sequel to Visions. It is about a trip that I took to my ancestral villages in Gujarat, India, and how going, quote unquote, home, like the origin place where my ancestors are from forever, how it was like a place I had seen before, whether in West Africa or in the Caribbean or in Brazil. Mangoes and mangroves and teal-colored houses and the cadence of people's speech, the warmth of people. It was like my journey home, quote unquote, took me through all these different places. It wasn't a straight line. And so that music and that sound, I think, starts in Visions, my first album.
So I love this question here. What's one question that I did not ask that you wished I would have? Or if not me, people in general, when you're talking to them and having a conversation about music and what it is that you do, what's a question that you wish someone would ask but people don't ask?
That's a hard one.
It is a hard one, and so sometimes
That's a hard one.
I'll give you an out. Often I will ask people, how do they stay healthy? What do they eat when they're out traveling? I always go back to food.
Well, I have a question that
how does it impact?
I have a question I have of every artist.
Okay.
And maybe I could try to answer it myself, but I'm so interested in the process of different artists. Like, half of the time, I can come on this stage and I can go on the stage at the Hat and I know what I'm doing and everything, and I present myself so confidently. But then when I sit in the practice room or I'm writing, you just feel completely like I don't know what I'm doing at all. And how did that person do it? And how did that person think about it? There was a book called How Do Artists Work, or How Artists Work. And it talked about many different writers and composers and creators. I remember there was, I believe it was Toni Morrison, who had a child and would rent a hotel room to write, like drop her kid off at school and then rent a hotel room and then leave and go get groceries. Like how do you live and be an artist and get the nitty-gritty done? How do you find space for the process and for the slowness, but also do your laundry and get the groceries? And so what would be my answer for what is my process? I suppose it's carving time every year or two to have open-ended time of exploration that can be in a new place or a place that's meaningful for me, where I don't have necessarily engagements and where I'm able to live and connect and meet people, and enjoy and consume culture. Then carving out space in the day-to-day to have rest. So that could be on the weekend, or that could be a week here or a week there, to rest with my family, but then also to have rest within the work. So have dedicated time to writing and separate the writing from the business, because it's really hard to kind of do your emails from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then all of a sudden have the inspiration to write. And that's something that like the Hermitage helped me with a lot, just kind of getting up and working right away on my creative act. And what else about my process? And I guess trusting and being in touch with advisors and mentors, trusting in my own process, because now it's been some years, so I can say, what did I do and how did I do it? And somehow I've done it, so somehow it'll keep getting done. And when I'm lost, talking to mentors or people who know me or people that can sort of see that bigger picture. So I'll try to take that advice.
Thank you. Thank you, Kavita Shah. And thank you for the conversation and for being here tonight.
Thank you for your wonderful questions,
Thank you.
Leon. I didn't have any question that I wish you would have asked. You asked such wonderful, thoughtful questions.
And thank you all for being here live at Fogartyville, and for those listening at WSLR and out there on the social medias and interwebs. Thank you to the Ringling and the Ringling Historic Oslo Theater, the hat. That's right, give it up for the hat. Thank you for presenting the Artist Talk series and for partnership that makes these conversations possible here at Fogartyville. And thank you to the WSLR and Fogartyville staff and volunteers who helped make tonight happen. Lindsay, Doug, Matt, Joe, Jamie. So many people. Everyone listening. If you missed any part of this conversation or would like to listen back, watch back. The program will be available on the WSLR archives at WSLR.org and on the WSLR app. And we look forward to seeing everyone again for the next Artist Talk on March 3rd. Would anyone like to mention about what's going to be coming up on March 3rd?
Thank you for mentioning that, Leon. On March 3rd, we're going to be in conversation with an artist named Aham Oluo, who is presenting a work in our series called The Things Around Us. Aham is a clarinetist, a trumpeter, composer, and also a stand-up comedian. So that should be fun. And yeah, that's happening. And then we'll have Jake Blunt here also on March 13th.
Fantastic. And thank you again to all of you who came out. Please drive safely, be safe. And for those listening on the radio, stick around. We've got some tunes coming to you from Kavita right now. Kavita Shah, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thank you. See you this week.